Today, we are visiting Takano Transport's Ritto branch located in Ritto City, Shiga Prefecture. This is Mr. Mamoru Takano, the president of Takano Transport. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. At our Ritto base, we mainly handle the transportation of racehorses, with a particular focus on transporting horses that have been confirmed to race. Transporting confirmed racehorses means that every Thursday for the upcoming weekend Saturday and Sunday refers to the horses that will be running in races held on those days. The list of confirmed racehorses is finalized on Thursday, and then, following the schedule of Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we transport the racehorses to each racecourse across Japan. This is our main operation.
The reason I visited today was to ask about what exactly racehorse transportation involves and how it differs from what we do in our own industry. So that's why I came to visit. As for my connection with President Mamoru Takano, well, actually we were classmates back in elementary school. After that, we both entered society and eventually both ended up in this industry. Since then, we've been in touch from time to time, but I wonder how many years it's been since we last met. 3?
It's been 3 years, hasn't it? Since 6th grade in elementary school, right there.
Is that right? Actually, if I remember correctly, we met in Hakodate, didn't we?
That's right, I think so. Yeah, recently, just before COVID, we met again at Hakodate Racecourse. That was the most recent time we saw each other after a long while, I think.
Right, I think it was actually when I was transporting a horse and I probably brought it to the quarantine station, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did. Well, just a moment ago.
It came up earlier, but when it comes to transporting horses for confirmed races, for us, it's pretty rare to actually go directly to the race course. As for your company, so-called Racehorse Transport, you're always at the race course, right?
I think so.
I think it's basically like you take the horse there, and once the race is over, you bring it back. From your perspective, as for Takano Transport, what would you say are the main differences between
confirmed racehorse transport
and a company like ours? What stands out to you?
Race transport refers to transporting the horse once its condition and training are already finalized. At that point, the horse's training is basically complete, and the racehorse is in peak condition, anywhere from 100% to even 120%. It's really about that final stage of transportation. I believe that this final stage, the finishing touch, is the mission of race transport. When it comes to your company, long distance transport, I consider it to be the transportation that takes place before the horse enters the training center. At the farm, the horse is prepared, whether for urgent needs or for a certain level of conditioning, so that by the time it arrives, it's about 70 to 80% ready. Then the horse enters the training center, undergoes entry quarantine, and is brought in. That's the way I see it. So once the horse enters quarantine, I recognize that the race for that horse has already begun from that point. I recognize that from the moment the horse leaves the other farm, preparations are already underway to get it into top condition for the next race. So in this whole process involving ohe Transport and Takano Transport, I consider that the race has already begun. In fact,
the number of horses loaded can actually vary, but basically, as for Takano Transport, does not handle the horses directly.
With Racehorse Transport, the staff member in charge of each racehorse accompanies them on the journey. We don't directly lead the horses onto or off the vehicle ourselves. However, we do provide support when the horses are being loaded onto the van, for example. We also offer support and care after the horses have boarded. That's the kind of role we play at Takano Transport.
Even though we're talking about transport, I think the method and schedule of transportation varies depending on the race course. How does that work?
As for race transport distances, same-day transport is used for Kyoto Racecourse, Hanshin Racecourse, and Chukyo Racecourse, meaning the horses are transported on the day of the event. For other racecourses, like Kokura Racecourse, for racecourses like Tokyo, Nakayama, and Fukushima, transportation happens the day before. So basically, for horses racing on Saturday, they are transported on Friday, and for those racing on Sunday, they are transported on Saturday. In cases where a single stable staff member is responsible for horses racing on both Saturday and Sunday, they might take both horses and depart together on Friday. There are various cases, but basically we refer to it as day before transportation.
I frequently notice Takano-san's truck in Sapporo, Hakodate, and throughout Hokkaido, but how does it actually function and operate in Hokkaido?
Well, in Hokkaido, it's a bit unique to the summer racing season, but after the race entry is confirmed, the horses leave the Ritto training center and head to Hakodate or Sapporo However, going straight into the race after arriving would obviously affect the horse's condition and so on. Including their physical stamina, it becomes a really tough situation. So when racing in Hokkaido, we usually send the horses over about 1 to 2 weeks in advance and then train and condition them there before entering them in the race. Now, when the race meet at Hakodate ends and switches over to Sapporo, that's the timing when Hakodate Racecourse basically becomes like a training center after the horses leave. After the switch, they train at Hakodate Racecourse, do the race entry on Thursday, and then transport the horses the day before on Friday or Saturday. By racing at Sapporo Racecourse after coming from Hakodate, once the race is over, we sometimes bring the horses back from Sapporo to Hakodate. On weekdays, we also move horses back and forth between Hakodate and Sapporo. So during that period, you'll often see a lot of in Hokkaido.
Yes, during the Sapporo and Hakodate events, we often see them, and we also end up on the same ferry quite a lot when events are held in Hokkaido or Kyushu.
Do you take the same routes as our company?
Is it correct to think of it that way?
Yes, that's right. Basically, the routes are determined by the contract with the JRA. We take almost the same route as your company. For example, when going to Hokkaido, if we're departing from the Ritto training center, we go via the Hokuriku Expressway, then pass through the Wanesu, enter the Tohoku Expressway, and head to Aomori. Then between Aomori and Hakodate, we use the Seikan ferry or the Tsugaru Kaikyo ferry to cross over. Of course, in your company's case, there may be times when you go through the Kanto region or takes other routes, but that's generally how it goes. So we basically take almost exactly the same route.
Speaking of the westernmost point, how far do you go?
Yes, in the west, it's definitely Kyushu, Kokura Racecourse. And then, because of exchange races with local horse racing, Saga Racecourse as well, right?
In your case, Takano, I believe you're a designated contractor for the JRA, so basically the main venues are the JRA, Japan Racing Association race courses, right?
That's right, the main venues are the central horse racing tracks. Of course, those are the main focus on weekends, and on weekdays we handle JRA registered racehorses. Right, since there are exchange races with local racehorses, those take place on weekdays. We transport the horses from the center to local racecourses all over Japan.
In the case of local horse racing, there are also regional horse transport companies in each area, aren't there?
That's right. There are transport companies specialized for each local race course. So when moving racehorses for local race courses, those companies mainly handle it. When we send horses from here, we take care of it ourselves. That's how it works now.
Your company.
About how many vehicles do you have?
Yes, currently. Yes. At Takano Transport, we have about 50 vehicles, and the number of employees is currently 54. At the moment,
Currently, among the designated JRA contractors in the Kansai region, besides Takano-san, how many other companies are there?
right now, besides Takano Transport and the Takuchi Transport Group, there are 3 other companies. So in total, there are 5 companies.
So in terms of the number of vehicles you mentioned earlier, you're overwhelmingly number one, aren't you?
Well, being called number 1 is a bit much, but thanks to our valued customers, we've received high evaluations, and that's how we've come this far. Currently, we handle about 57% of the overall market share in transportation, and even within that, we hope to contribute as much as possible to the value our customers receive. With that in mind, we want to continue running across the country while cherishing these values.
It's the same at our company as well. We transport horses with the hope that our customers' horses will win races, and that commitment hasn't changed.
Yes, I think that's a shared understanding between us.
Yes, that's right. It's the same for companies like ours and for others in the same industry. Is there something like a system of designated staff, or perhaps a distinction between main drivers and assistants?
Ah, yes, we do have that. There's a system where each vehicle has an assigned staff member or driver. By implementing this, we can keep track of the vehicle's schedule and prevent any irregularities, and it also gives each person a sense of responsibility for their assigned vehicle. Because it fosters a sense of loyalty to the company, we've adopted this assignment system. However, for sub-drivers, we don't use the assignment system. The reason is that, especially when there are long-distance trips that last a week or even longer, there are, of course, compatibility issues between people. Yeah, sometimes people get a bit tired and things like that come up. So for sub-drivers, we have them rotate regularly. We basically have them take turns in order.
That's pretty similar. Of course, each company most likely has its own way of thinking in general, but ours is pretty close to that as well.